All right, we will call tonight's meeting to order for the Norfolk School Committee for Tuesday, September 14th, 2001. Current time is 7:03 p.m. As we start out every meeting, we read the mission statement, which is the Norfolk Public Schools offers a safe, joyful, and challenging learning environment that meets the needs of our diverse students through school, family, and community partnerships. We provide an education that inspires lifelong learners and cultivates caring and productive citizens of our ever-changing world. Roll call, please.
Sarah Ward.
Shannon Meneses.
Jennifer Wynn.
Medora Champagne.
Thomas Doyle.
Ingrid Alardi.
Victoria Saldana.
Public comment, we do not have any. We might.
Do we have any comment?
Why do we have some people sign up?
No, not
Okay.
for a regular meeting.
Do we have any public comment before I move on? All right, let's just advance. Nice. All right, so then we'll move on. We've got a letter from Ann Proto, obviously the rec director in town here, does a fantastic job. And she wrote a letter to us regarding the upcoming 150th birthday of the town, which I'll read. On Saturday, September 18, 2021, we'll finally be celebrating the 150th birthday of the town of Norfolk. This monumental occasion will be highlighted with activities on Town Hill, a parade, and then capped off with a fireworks display. Norfolk Rec is organizing the activities on Town Hill as well as the fireworks, while the parade is being organized by a town committee headed by Paul Terrio. We wanted to share the plans with you as the fields and parking areas surrounding Freeman Kennedy School will be utilized throughout the day. The parade will which begins at 3 p.m., will be staged in the school parking lot prior to the start. The parade will head out onto Boardman Street, cross Rockwood Road, and then take a left onto Main Street before finally heading back to the center at the end of Dunkin' Donuts. After the parade, there will be food trucks, touch-a-truck/helicopter events, and music leading up to the fireworks at 8 p.m., all held at Freeman. The fireworks staging area will be the far back field. This location meets the required setback of 300 feet while still leaving a large amount of space for public viewing. The fire chief is aware of the plan, and all permits and fire details will be in place as required. Several police details are also being hired for all events. Matt Hafner will be also kept in the loop at all times with all events. Additionally, parking for the fireworks and parade will also be at the school as well as other areas in town. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Ann. So appreciate her giving us that information. Okay. Moving on, we have, and we'll need a motion for this, to accept $1,000 for the NCL Charitable Fund. That's purpose is for a grant for HOD. I don't have further information, just a general grant. Is that what it is?
General teacher.
Okay. The general teacher grant is what that is, so we would need a motion to accept the generous donation from NCL.
I move to accept the $1,000 grant donation to the HOD from the NCL Charitable Fund.
Okay. You have a second? Any further discussion? Okay, thank you for that. All in favor?
Aye.
So they're going to actually present all this, correct?
Yes, so the first on the agenda tonight, we have the Norfolk Special Education Parents Advisory Council here to present information to the school committee about their organization, their purpose, some of the activities and projects that they have led, and to update you on other events, upcoming events. So I think probably the best, Vicki, if you don't mind, giving up your seat, and we'll turn it over to the Norfolk CPAC.
Dick, you want my seat? Oh, you got a seat.
They need a microphone for recording.
All right. Thank you for your time this evening. We're really pleased to be here with you to talk about our organization, the Special Education Parents Advisory Council for Norfolk. My name is Melissa Sear. I'll let my other board members introduce themselves as well before we begin.
Hi, I'm Karen Murphy. I'm the current co-chair with Joanne.
Also, Joanne Gilbody, co-chair.
Kayla Costa, and secretary.
All right, so let's jump in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to get in front of the slides, so. Sorry.
Yeah,
Just sit? Okay. Great. Even more comfy. All right. So as we mentioned, we are a Norfolk parent-run organization that has been around now for several years. One of our top priorities is to provide a support system to families with all types of needs, whether that be autism, ADHD, dyslexia, or other needs. We promote an inclusive environment through our workshops, presentations, or support offerings around the IEP process, and ensure that parents and students can have opportunities to connect with other families who may be having similar experiences. And we'll talk further about some examples later in the presentation. You can see our current board members listed here, with several of us here tonight as we just introduced ourselves. We are a dedicated group passionate about the mission and goals of this organization. We're excited to say we recently expanded this group with 3 new members in the spring. I am one such new member. I'm the chair of marketing. New board members, excuse me. Moving to the next slide. Thank you, Karen. We also felt it important to talk about who we're not, to dispel any myths that people may have about what we do. We are not another parent-teacher organization or a branch of the PTO. We are not a fundraising organization, although we do fundraise to support our programming. And we are not a group that only holds family-friendly events for social interaction. And we are not optional, because as indicated on the next slide, we are mandated by law. As a new member going through the Massachusetts Parent Advisory Council new board member orientation, I found this to be the most fascinating part of what I learned. Under Massachusetts special education law, a school district is required to establish a Parents Advisory Council on Special Education, or a PAC. Membership is extended to any parents of children with disabilities and other interested parties. And our duties include, but are not limited to, advising the school committee on matters that pertain to the education and safety of students with disabilities, and meeting regularly with school officials to participate in the planning, development, and evaluation of the school committee's special education programs. As you can see up here also, any PAC must establish bylaws regarding officers and operational procedures. So just like other town committees, we publish our meeting dates, our agendas, and our meeting minutes available to the public. Also under this section, the PAC shall receive assistance from the school committee without charge, upon reasonable notice, and subject to the availability of staff and resources. So it is with all these obligations that bring us here today as we all start another school year to ensure we are collaborating to support our Norfolk families that have various special needs. So I'll turn it over to Karen.
Thanks, Melissa. So I'm just going to read our mission. We try to update this annually. And this is, again, on all of our paperwork, what we submit with all of our various documents to the state. The Norfolk Special Education Parents Advisory Council, CPAC, strives to collaborate with and advise the school committee and administration to continually improve the educational experience for all Norfolk children and families. We promote improved education and success for students with disabilities, ensuring they receive equal access to education within our schools and community. The Norfolk CPAC provides a network for parents of children with disabilities to access local resources, gain support, and share ideas. CPAC encourages families to be involved in all district policy discussions. So, with that, what we do. These are the kind of main topics that we try to address annually. We want to provide a voice, a community voice, to the Norfolk School Committee and the school administration. We do that by holding a monthly meeting that's open to the general public that complies with our meeting bylaws. We run a parent support group for local families because, if you may or may not know, it can be a little isolating to have a child that accesses resources, special ed resources at school and/or has a disability, so we like to make sure the parents know they're not alone. We hold a monthly meeting with the Director of Student Services, Dr. Tupper, to share our insights gained from our community, so that if we're hearing kind of rumblings in the parent community, we want to make sure the school administration is aware of what's going on, and vice versa. If anything's coming That way that we are also equally informed and able to dispel any kind of myths that are out there. And we also, obviously in that meeting, we discussed staffing, updates, and kind of keep each other, it's a nice open way to communicate back and forth and keep everybody in the loop of what's going on. And then, of course, when parents come to us, we're able to provide them with the correct information. So then we provide resources to families accessing student services. We do that by sending a bi-monthly parent newsletter with our event information, parent guidance on relevant topics, local resources, and book recommendations for parents and families. And we provide the Norfolk community with access to local and regional guest speakers and workshops, providing relevant topics of interest for discussion and facilitating Q&A. And then we also provide opportunities where Norfolk families receiving student services can connect to each other, because again, it's a valuable resource to have people that are in the same boat as you, not necessarily in the same storm, but not the same boat, you know, that whole thing. So we did that a couple of weeks ago. We had our very first kindergarten playground night for special education families. That was kind of an amazing opportunity where we had a lot of new families, new to the district, new to the special ed program, come and meet fellow parents in the same boat, and then for their kids to all play and introduce each other and meet each other and have a good time. We did it over at the HOD playground. We had the Mitch, the police resource, our new school resource officer, was in attendance as well, and it really was a nice time, and we got to meet a lot of new parents. We tried to do parent socials, again, you know, over coffee or over drinks, whatever the case may be, where again, it's a low-key environment, no pressure. And then we also do inclusive family events, of course. I mean, that's something that is really key to what we try to do here, is to make sure that all of our families feel supported and connected in kind of a no-pressure environment. So with that, Kayla can take over and talk about other stuff we do.
So as both Melissa and Karen mentioned, we, a lot of people I think know us as the group that does the trunk or treat at HOD, which is one of our favorite events. It's one of our biggest fundraisers. But as we said before, we're not solely a fundraising organization. That is really a means to an end. It's a really fun means to an end, but it is a means to an end. And the end is that we are able to provide our families in the district and at the HOD Freeman Kennedy with access, usually free of cost. I think there's been maybe one event where we charged a very, very small $5 admission to these amazing workshops. So we have a wide range of topics. We always try to find an expert in the field and keep it relevant to what our families are looking for. We've had polls in our parent group before, you know, what kind of workshop would you like to see next? So we really try to provide for what people are looking for at the time. So you can see a wide range of workshops here. I won't go through every single one of them, but a few highlights. This one right here was our Understanding Executive Function workshop by Donna Kincaid, and the district actually purchased the curriculum for starting in 5th grade after that workshop. Another great one was the parent workshop on social skills. So that started with a big group open workshop with a psychologist, a child psychologist, Carolyn Cannell, and then it evolved into a 9-hour, 3-class intensive that parents signed up for, a small group of social skills training for their children. And I think it was well attended and well received. And then the last year obviously has been very different for everybody. We obviously haven't been able to do this, but we have been able to still host some really great virtual workshops. One of those, which is not listed on here, is we had an Improving Learning for Students with Hidden Disabilities workshop just last school year. So those are things like anxiety, ADHD, autism, sensory processing disorders, and how to improve the learning for students that have those particular hidden disabilities. So again, a wide range of topics and ever evolving. We have a basic rights workshop coming up in November that we're currently working on, and then we'll have another workshop that we're discussing ideas on right now in the spring. And I will hand it off to Joe.
So we've had a lot that we've learned over the last few years. This group has been together in some part. Karen and I have been here now. I've been involved in the CPAC for over 6 years, and it's been wonderful to see us be able to evolve from, getting the trunk or treat off the ground and having, 30 families come to having to shut down tickets because we don't have enough space. To be able to sit through a parent training that we organized for 9 hours of really inclusive learning. It was just been such a great experience for us. And I think what we've come to, given COVID and given our kind of pause on the events that we had to do last year, we really got to thinking about what we want to do going forward and how we want to be a part of the community, work with all of you to really begin to help promote and influence change that you all are looking for, work with Anna very closely to understand what the district needs, and be able to go into the community and solicit support for things that the town is looking to do and that we can influence and support that align with our mission. So we want to, as Karen said, continue to work with Anna. We have a wonderful opportunity to meet with her regularly and really understand her priorities, and then we're able to take that and go into community, work with our families, and build that connection there. So we are very much looking forward to this year, where we hope to maybe dial back our events again, just because, as we know, it's not going to probably be as probable to do large events, and the virtual world is kind of getting a bit old at this point. I think we're all zoomed out. But we are bringing to our general meetings every month a speaker from the HOD and the FK community. This past what was it, Thursday, Jessica Peppel came, and we had a nice conversation with her, understanding what she is all about and what her goals are, and we're looking forward to collaborating with her. Upcoming in October, we hope to bring the team chairs for the special education department to the community so that they have an opportunity to be introduced. And then going down the line each month, we've identified a group within the school system that we hope to bring to the community for a short 15-minute meet and greet. Over Zoom, at this point, we're going to keep our meetings virtual and give an opportunity. We actually all kind of like the virtual. 7 p.m. on a Thursday is a lot easier to get to from my office at home than it is from here. So again, we're very excited about our opportunities this year. We look forward to continuing to work with all of you and hope that we can provide insight from the community and bring whatever challenges we are hearing to your attention, and then also in reciprocal, take anything that you'd like us to work within the community and solicit support there as well. So one last little plug for anybody that wants to get involved. As Karen mentioned, Mitch came and joined us. Well, he was the highlight of the night for all of us.
Parents.
Incredibly, it was great. We are always available. You can reach us, and our contact information is on the last slide. But we are meeting every second Thursday of the month at 7:30 virtually. It's the same Zoom link every month, so once you have it, it's on the town website. It's posted on our website. And if you're in contact with any families that either need our support or would like to get involved, we are always open arms. So thrilled to have 3 new members of our board this year, and we really look forward to seeing what the year brings for us. And that's how you can find us. Any questions? Happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, and they have been such an asset to the schools through all of the pandemic as well, letting us know where we're doing well and what we might be missing and what questions people might have. So it's been fabulous, and we appreciate all the work that you do to support our families.
Happy to.
Really fabulous. I remember when I've been around here long enough that I remember when you started your charter or got it and announced it, and it's just amazing how strong this partnership is, and your partnership and collaboration and with Dr. Tupper as well as the rest of the administration really is outstanding, and it goes so far for our students when you have that open relationship with a teacher and administration and come at it with curiosity and not judgment. So thank you. Ted Lasso.
Anything else? All right,
Thank you
we'll
very
leave
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time.
Good job.
See a trunk or treat. My favorite.
Guess I better go buy tickets.
Better get your tickets there. They're selling quickly, right?
The library already has their trunk ordered, so.
volunteer discount to the?
No.
They don't.
Okay, next on our agenda, I just wanted to update the committee on staffing changes. As we talked about at our last meeting, we had quite a few new hires this year. We had some retirements last year. We have some new positions that we added in the budget. In your packet, you have background descriptions on each of our new hires. We hired Adam Tarzak as the new assistant principal at the Freeman Kennedy. Heather Terry as a new grade 6 teacher. Robin Bannon, also a new grade 6 teacher. Margaret Smith as the Freeman Kennedy building sub, who's currently in a long-term sub position for Kaylin Dunn. We have Deborah Hurwitz as a new grade 3-6 math specialist. At the H. Olive Day, we have a new assistant principal, Kristen Gaffoon. We have Leah Bowden as the math specialist there, and that's a new position this year. We have Maureen Feig in a long-term sub position to cover for a leave of absence for a reading specialist, and Kendall Merritt as a new first grade teacher at the H. Olive Day. We also have several new members of our special education team. Shannon Cole, who is a specialized resource teacher this year up at Freeman Kennedy. Shauna Resendez, who is one of our new speech and language pathologists. Mika Coburn, a resource teacher at Freeman Kennedy. Elizabeth Orlando, also a language-based teacher at Freeman Kennedy. And Cynthia Riley, a new school psychologist up here at Freeman Kennedy School. Several new hires for a paraprofessional positions. We have Carly Adams at the H. Olive Day, Kayla Menken, Freeman Kennedy, Catherine Carlson, Freeman Kennedy, Riley Collins at H. Olive Day, Ashley Kaiser at H. Olive Day, Marie Sharis, H. Olive Day, and then we have a new head cook at the H. Olive Day, Kendra Gianfrancesco. Hopefully I said that correctly. And you can see in the back, we have some shifts. We have people who have left one position and moved into another. We have Adrienne Smith here, replacing Pam Kinahan, who has retired and now gone south. Jerry Fox moved from the Freeman Kennedy Library down to the H. Olive Day Library to support that program there. Kendall Merritt, who has been an educational paraprofessional for us for a number of years, is now in a full-time teaching position. Raven Farrell, also a prior Title I teacher to a full-time grade 1 teacher. Amy Bennett, who has been with us for a number of years teaching 4th grade, has gone up to 5th grade this year. Sonia Cataldo moved from kindergarten to grade 2. And Rebecca Rita from the SAC program is now an assistant in our Freeman Kennedy program. You also can see we had several people leave the district, some for retirement, some because they accepted other positions. Erin Mansfield has left a paraprofessional position at Freeman Kennedy. Justine Ladroga, Kaya Kowalski, Janice Madden, Garrett Foster, Erica Anastas, Lauren Hain, Renee Knott, Sarah Tui, Joan McIntyre, Rachel DeVecchio, and Mike Haggerty. We're all employed by the district who have left to pursue other positions or who have moved on to other fields. We had 4 retirements last year, which we celebrated at our June meeting. Judy Niedzwicki, Cynthia Grady, Rita Boyd, and Pam, which we celebrated last month. At this point, we're really almost fully staffed. We're still seeking a special education building substitute, and we are looking for a building substitute at the H. Olive Day School. We have 1 paraprofessional position open, and I believe as of yesterday, we are now fully staffed in the kitchen, and we have a couple of openings in the SAC after-school program. We continue to recruit for. Any questions on staffing?
Nope.
Okay, great.
Actually, so if more hires are made in the SAC program, do more spaces open up? Ask the parent on the wait list.
Asking for
From a parent perspective.
I would have to, it depends on the grade level and the
Okay.
program you're looking for.
All right, got it.
In some cases, we may be able to expand programming. In some, we're not able
covering
to do
the
that.
existing, okay, got it. Well, Jen's running SAC evidently now.
We're hiring. The next item on the agenda for tonight is the budget adjustments. So every year at the end of the school year, we vote to approve the budget that was presented to town meeting. Over the summer, as we hire positions, sometimes hiring comes in higher or lower than what we budgeted for. So typically at the first school committee meeting of the school year, we vote to adjust and true up the budget. The summary, Todd Hassett put together a summary of changes. Basically what you'll see is we have some savings, about $46,000 of savings in existing staff. That comes primarily from some retirements that we hired at a lower level than we budgeted for. And we also had a couple of experienced veteran teachers shift to different positions that are funded in a different part of the budget. So we had about $46,000 in savings there. The regular education salary line is up by $41,000. Again, we had some existing experienced staff move, for example, to a technology integration position, to a library position. So those positions came in higher than the original budget. In special education, we are up by about $22,000 based on transitions that took place over the summer. We did have to hire an additional paraprofessional to support programming at the Freeman Kennedy. We ended up deciding to reduce the additional team chair .1 that we were hoping to fund because we had to increase, based on the needs of some new students, the OT position by .1. In the district line, we did save $17,000 in the realization of the new transportation bid. So we had estimated a cost increase, it came in under. All of that said, $46,000 deficit or savings in existing staff, $41,000 increase in regular ed, $22,000 increase in special education, $17,000 savings in the district transportation. So no change to the bottom line, but those categories within the budget are adjusted accordingly. So we need a motion and a vote to approve the amended budget. And then I'm happy to take questions.
So do we have a motion to approve the budget adjustments as described?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The next one's fairly short. Per policy, I always provide the school committee with an update on revenue that's come in from our use of facilities and facilities rental program. As you know, last March, per school committee vote, we suspended facilities rental in response to COVID. So we give you a 3-year report. You'll see in 2019, we took in about $10,521 for rental. We have to offset the cost of the custodial overtime. We netted about $9,000 in profit. Last year, 2020, for the first half of the year, we took in about $8,327. After you deduct custodial maintenance and overtime, it was about $4,500. We did not rent the facilities at all in 2021. You see there is a payment there. That was a rental fee that was paid for rental in 2020 in the fiscal 2021 year. So it's reflected there, although the actual event took place in 2020. So the net for 2021 was about $3,255 in fees. Again, that was an event that took place in 2020, but the check was received and reported in 21. At this time, I think at your last meeting, we voted to open facilities use just to the rec department. So we are still not taking in outside revenue. Questions on facilities rental?
No.
Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Vicki Saldana. At our meeting last May, we talked about the annual bus driver training. So every year, and as you probably have seen on the state level, there is a critical shortage of school bus drivers. Just yesterday, I believe Governor Baker called the National Guard to support school transportation. This is a serious issue statewide. There are districts that are not able to fulfill that need right now. We do every year hire bus drivers. There's fairly significant requirements from the state for licensure. So it is difficult to recruit and fill new positions. But annually, we provide within the first 2 weeks of school an additional training beyond what Holmes provides for their drivers to orient drivers to our school policies and practices. I said that I would update the committee and provide you a copy of the materials we distribute. Vicki is running that training tomorrow, so I'll let her review that with you.
Sure. So this training is really an opportunity for us to not only impart some important information, provide some resources for the bus drivers to support them in their very difficult jobs that they have, and also for an opportunity for us to kind of build relationships and continue relationships with homes. We partner really strongly with our bus companies. So this is kind of an opportunity for us to kind of gather for everybody to know who the staff is on the school side, who they should reach out to if there's any issues, and what kind of supports we're able to provide for them. The training, as Dr. Lardy said, is happening tomorrow. The bus drivers, after they finish their routes, meet at Freeman Kennedy, and the training is mandatory. So we asked homes to let us know if there's any bus driver that's unable to attend. We will set up a separate opportunity for us to meet with them to make sure that every bus driver and the substitutes receive this training. In your packet, I included a meeting agenda. You'll also find a Google Slide presentation that kind of goes over all the information that is shared with the bus drivers, and I'll highlight a few things for you as well. That the administrators kind of talk about. And there's also a presentation that our school adjustment counselors provide. And you will also see various handouts that our school nurses, as well as the schools, provide for our bus drivers. So we usually have our school nurses kind of talk about, they do a couple of they impart a couple of important information. They talk to the bus drivers about students who have allergies, how also they give them an EpiPen training and training on choking protocols. Last year and this year, the school nurses also talk about COVID safety protocols, make sure that everybody has a common understanding exactly what the expectations are on the buses, like that the windows need to be left open, like what are the seating expectations, so everybody, to ensure that everybody has the same information. Our adjustment counselors from Freeman Kennedy and H. Olive Day, they talk to the bus drivers about supporting students with if there's any behavior issues that arise. We really go over our social and emotional program, make sure that they are using the common language that is used at schools when we address students, really talk about building relationships with students, building relationships with our families, give them some strategies about how to handle different situations, and also how to respond to more serious issues that may arise, such as bullying. We asked the bus drivers, when it comes to any disciplinary issues, that they communicate with our school administrators. We have created a form a couple of years ago that we asked the bus drivers to fill out, which basically just has the student information and exactly what the incident that occurred. This allows us to better communicate with the bus drivers, because sometimes, in the mornings, everybody's in a rush, communication might be misstrued. Sometimes it's not an appropriate time for us to have these conversations because the buses have students on them. So this is like an opportunity for us not to only keep track of incidents that are being reported, but also know that we can follow up and kind of talk specifically to what happened, and so we can kind of partner with the bus drivers and figure out what the next steps are. The adjustment counselors also talk more specific about what bullying is, so they're able to distinguish between mean behavior and what bullying looks like. And they also talk about suicide prevention as well. So just like I said, just to give bus drivers just some ability to be able to recognize if there's any bigger issues that are arising. We, I think that's it. The assistant principals also go over some school-based procedures around arrival and dismissal. And also, like I said, really just kind of talk to the bus drivers just that we really are partners, and that if there's any problems, that we're here to support them, that we will ride the buses if we need, we have done this in the past. If there's any issues to support a student, to support them. We really talk about just that the important job that they have for schools. They're usually the first people that our kids see when they are getting ready to go to school, and the last people that they see before they get off the bus, and just how vital and important that is. So that's kind of one of the other things that we also talk about, that we incorporated is safety expectations. So there's a slide in your packet. Let me just see. That talks very specifically about our safety procedures. It is a pink slide, I think looks like on the third page. And that particular slide, it just addresses our legal expectations, what things are prohibited for bus drivers to bring on the bus. So for example, firearms, alcohol, controlled substances, and tobacco products. There's also a link and a reference for the legal expectations that the Massachusetts laws have. So we do very specifically discuss these as well. So, like I said, it's a pretty thorough training. It gives an opportunity for our bus drivers also to ask questions from our experts, because we do, like I said, have our nurses from our both buildings join us, and our adjustment counselors as well as our administrators. So it's a really thorough training that I think really helps kind of get us started on the right footing every school year. Are there any questions?
Vicki, I'm just curious, do they, and I'm sorry if I missed this,
Sure.
do they go over scenarios? I'm work in a school and I just know, this is more a middle school problem, but there's a lot of stuff that happens on the bus. Do they go over like, what do you do if a kid is hopping from seat to seat? What do you do if they're
Right.
playing some music with some really obscene language? Like
Absolutely.
that sort of
So
thing?
part of when we're talking about behavior expectations, we actually included in your packet an excerpt from our family handbook that lists all of the expectations that we put for families and students as well on how behavior should be on the bus. We review that, and I think that as educators, one of things that we take an opportunity here is just kind of like impart some tips, you know what I mean? So being able to understand that there's a maturity level. So the way you would address something with a kindergarten student is going to be really different than the way you address it with a sixth grader, you know, considering like the age and developmental level of the students, you know. Also having an appropriate reaction to different situations, you know what I mean? So for example, obviously we can't cover everything, you know what I mean? But giving them some examples of like when it should just be a conversation, you know what I mean? And when the situation is elevated. Obviously recognizing that their primary job is safety, you know what I mean? So like whatever they need to do to make sure that all our students are safe on the bus, you know. So if they need to stop and address something, that they should do that. If there's an imminent, you know what I mean, somebody's doing something that is imminently dangerous, you know. And also like we really stress that our bus drivers like definitely are the primary, like I said, their job is to transport children safely to and from school, but also that our expectation is that any issues that arise, they will lean on the schools and make sure they communicate like all incidents with us, so we're able to support and have follow-up conversations with our students. Because sometimes like the bus driver has a minute just to address something, you know, but it really, if we know about the incident, we can pull the student aside during school and have a more like in-depth conversation about why safety is important, you know. And especially now with our additional protocols, you know, students sometimes forget, you know what I mean, like why it's important to keep our mask on, you know what I mean. And so we're able to have that more supportive conversations also and follow up, and also like notify parents, you know what I mean, so they can also follow up with this conversation. So we really stress like communicate with the schools, lean on us for support, you know, but like their primary, like I said, is for them to keep it safe for our kids.
And I think it was really important that you noted the way that they speak to a kindergartner is different than a sixth grader,
Right.
than different to a middle schooler and a high schooler, because don't forget, a lot of these bus drivers are
Yes.
driving for other towns and other age groups. And it's hard, and when you don't live
Absolutely.
it, it's hard to have that teacher voice, you know?
And I have to say, like, in my assistant principal role, I was the assistant principal as a primary administrators that kind of deal with bus issues.
Yes.
And we really had a very strong partnership. Like, our bus drivers really want to work and support our kids, you know. So most of the time, I found that our bus drivers did reach out to me and said, listen, can I, even if it's something might be more trivial, they're like, can I just run this by you so I can like see, like, let me know, like, what do you think? So they really like recognize that as educators, we do have a lot of tools in our toolbox and we're willing to share, you know. So, but this training is really kind of like developmental child psychology, child developmental, how to react to different situations 101. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an overview to give them the tools that they need, and like I said, in keeping those conversations open. And our administrators also, and it's a practice that's been long established, they're out there in the morning, they're out there in the afternoon, they always stop by and check in with the bus drivers, There's a lot of follow-up too, so if there was an incident, our assistant principals always check in with the bus driver and be like, well, how's it going? Did this, what we put in place, is it working? You know what I mean? Are there any issues that you're seeing? So those morning opportunities, those mornings really give a lot of opportunities for those in the moment conversations to happen, which helps us kind of, like I said, partner and support our bus drivers.
One last question. How long
Sure.
has this training been in place? Did I forget because of COVID and stuff like?
We've done
did
it
we have
since
last
I've been
year?
here for 10 years.
Every year?
And probably before, yeah,
Yes.
every fall.
Okay.
We've
This
done
is
it
my
as long as I've been on school
fourth-
committee, a version of it.
Yeah, this is my fourth training.
Okay. I just
So,
don't remember
since
the
I've
slides
been- yeah,
and
so
all
like,
that
yeah.
other stuff. I'm like, really?
Right, and probably
Right,
before.
right.
I don't know if
So
we've
it is
ever
in-
had a presentation
That's
on
what
it
I'm
in the
wondering,
fall,
like,
but
did
it
we-
has gone on it's been mentioned every
Right,
year.
Okay, but you
We've-
right,
yeah.
you haven't been here to present, and I've just forgotten the last.
Oh, right. No, absolutely. And it's, like I said, we've always
That
done.
part's correct.
I think every year we kind of enhance it, and there's always new things
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, we try to, we always regroup as an admin team afterwards too, you know what I mean? And we check in with homes as well, and just to see if there's anything that we can help support them. So this is really, like I said, there's a strong communication between the bus companies and the schools.
I do
Just
have
'cause-
one question.
Sure.
So it's good to see the safety procedures slide. After the incident last year with the fire, what has training changed at all on this side, with this training, and also at homes to address any issues that arise of that nature?
I think Dr. Lardy can probably speak a little bit
I
more
can
about the
respond to that.
homes
So,
training. Mhm.
Immediately after the incident last year, Paul Zinni and I met with Homes, and we asked them to hold an immediate retraining with all their drivers to review the expectations for what can be what is allowed on the bus, and for talking about general protocols. And they did do that. They sent us the agenda. I believe I forwarded it to the school committee. So they held that immediate training. We did adjust this training as well. I think Vicki highlighted the slide that we added about safety protocols. And tomorrow she will be reviewing the Mass General statutes that govern what is allowed on school buses and on school property, and that there are criminal charges that can be brought forward if any of those rules are violated. In addition, we've also given information about the Mass General laws that prohibit driving under the influence on school buses and operating a vehicle. All of that has been added to our training in response to what happened last year. And Homes is also revisiting. They continue to do monthly trainings for all their drivers, and they're continuing to weave through those themes.
Great, thank you. And I had one last one. I know, Dr. Lardy, you and I talked about this. In terms of the, off of that topic, but for the COVID-19, so they are required to have designated seats. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And we also included a page from our safety protocols, which, like I said, we copied, it's in your packet too.
Yes.
But just to share with the bus drivers as well, and that, we review both the documents. We go through each piece pretty thoroughly. The training is a good hour. So we really take our time with it to make sure that everybody's really clear on all the different components, expectations, safety, behavior. We try to cover everything. And then usually, if there's anything, we also follow up with homes. You know what I mean? We ask if there's something, like we said, we spoke to the bus drivers. We just reminded them, can you also follow up with it, so that they're hearing it from not just only the schools but also from the company.
And we have heard some questions from parents around the assigned seats on the bus.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely a requirement that all children have an assigned seat. We required the drivers to turn in their seating charts the first week of school, so that we would have a record in the nurse's office should we have to contact trace. At the driver training tomorrow, we will review the clear expectation that drivers enforce those seating assignments. They are making some adjustments to those based on, to students that might be having trouble riding together. They are making changes and updating us as those changes happen. But we will absolutely reiterate during the training tomorrow, it is the driver's responsibility to ensure those are enforced.
Okay, great.
We are not requiring siblings to sit together based on the data around transmission on buses. But we have honored that request from some families who would prefer to have their children together.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Sure. And they'll hear it twice. Usually our adjustment counselor nurses go first, and then in our general slide, we kind of highlight like the key points too. So they'll hear it twice tomorrow.
Okay, great, thank you.
I had a quick question to piggyback on that. The windows are supposed to be down on the buses.
Partially. They
Partially?
don't have to be all the way down. They're supposed to be
But
down 25%.
All of the
Every
windows?
window or just?
Yes.
Okay.
Down.
That was the easy one. The second one is not, it's just because we're talking about this, so I'm sorry to throw something on and you can give me a really brief answer. With all the changes last year that happened, and then we're talking a lot about, how the drivers should deal in escalating discipline on the bus and communicating with the school, is there ever any dialogue with the students about bus riding expectations?
Oh, absolutely. So each school, I'm really glad actually you asked that.
Yes.
Each school
I've
does.
never heard about it from my children.
You know, right? So each school does a training for each by grade level. I think HOD, like in Freeman Kennedy, they call students down. They kind of go over the expectations, what the bus, how you should behave on the bus, like how to report if you see something that's, how to report a behavior, you know what I mean, or any issues that you have, we watch a safety video. We talk to kids because Lisa and I actually partnered, so I can really speak to detail about this. When I was her assistant principal, we go over, we watch some videos, even how to exit a bus safely, like, and how to go in front of a bus and how to make sure that, so we go over a lot of safety protocols, expectations of having no devices on the bus. And we also, even though we also talk about like consequences as well. So,
So they're clear about the connection.
Right. So this is, we kind of give them the why, like this is really important because it has to do with your safety, you know what I mean? And you are very precious to us. So we want to make sure that you get to school and to home safely. And like this is what exactly you're expected as behavior. And, if you break the rules and the expectations, like this is what our process is, so. It's really clear. And like I said, if anything does arise on an individual basis, like we usually address it with the student. If it's a larger issue where students sometimes, do not sit, you know what I mean, the way they're supposed to. I've ridden a bus, and usually that kind of, nobody wants to see your assistant principal on the bus with you, especially if you're an upperclassman, when you're looking and be like, we're taking a bus ride home together because you have forgotten how to safely sit in a seat, so, and I've gotten up and, given the mom lecture quite a few times, so,
Okay.
yeah, so we really make sure, to enforce and to be consistent in our messaging.
Okay, great. Yeah, and it occurred to me that there were a lot of kids who didn't ride the bus at all last year, and they all were really excited to see each other on the bus in the morning, was the sense that I got from the noise level coming out of it.
Oh my gosh, and that's a great point. I think overall, because of it has been such an atypical year, which I don't need to tell anybody, but our teachers and our administrators have been really conscientious to dedicate extra time just to help kids resettle, because it has been such a long time since they've been in a school at this capacity, since they have some kids haven't ridden a bus. We have some first graders that have never taken a bus before, so this is brand new for them. So we really try to give a lot of support, to our students, and this whole month is kind of dedicated to help our kids transition, and build expectations.
I had one other thing that came up, and this might not be the training, but it may be mitigated a little bit by the assigned seating, but many people have mentioned overcrowding on buses, and I recognize it's probably also a shortage of drivers and a number of issues.
I'm happy to. I'm going to address some of that in the opening of school report, but in terms of overcrowding, we definitely have a lot more of our student body riding the bus and accessing school-based transportation this year. All of the buses that we use and lease from homes are 77 passenger buses. We have assigned every child in the district to a seat on a bus. We do not have any buses that are at capacity. They're all under capacity. They feel more crowded to students because last year there were 25 students on a bus. This year we have some buses that are 65. We have 2 that are 70, but no buses are over the safety capacity. And again, we've assigned every child in the district a bus this year because some parents change their transportation plans throughout the year, and we want to be able to add students to routes without exceeding bus capacity. So there are no buses that are overcrowded. They feel more crowded. They're fuller than they were last year for sure, but we don't have any buses that are over capacity.
Great, thank you.
One quick question and one is, does it sound okay for us? Because I know she moved up and it's really hard to hear.
Oh,
Okay, I just want to make sure because I'm having an old man deaf moment. Thanks.
Having trouble.
I'm struggling to
falling
hear
apart
you.
tonight.
On the other end of the
sorry.
Too. It's not all just me. So.
No, it's me too.
Yeah, I literally couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
You mentioned that if someone misses the meeting, they obviously would have to come to makeup. Is there some sort of time frame as to when that makeup would have to occur so that it
Yeah,
doesn't slip through the
like
cracks?
really soon, within the week. I think we can't really wait. And we have a sign-in sheet that I've included in your packet as well. So we can also keep
So
track
homes
of.
would know, or then their driver
We
would
would
know
know
that
too,
within,
yeah.
I mean, we would know
Right,
obviously, but
yeah.
they have a week then to make up
Yes,
that training.
it would be like, if we can do the next day, that would be preferable, you know, but like we wouldn't wait.
And
would
we will
definitely
be
pursue
reaching
that.
out to anybody that
I just
doesn't
want to make sure no one
attend, so
slipped through
we
the
will make
cracks. I
sure
know
Right.
it could happen.
Right,
Just want to
right.
make sure we've got a
Absolutely.
plan in place. That's good. Thank you.
All right, move on to the opening of school report.
Thank you, Vicki.
So,
Thank you.
sorry, can everyone hear?
I can hear you fine.
You can hear fine, good, all right, because I'm struggling. I could barely hear
Yeah.
Vicky. So.
So it wasn't just me.
No, it's not just you.
too.
So I'm pleased to report that overall, the opening of schools went very, very smoothly, very well. Our teachers came back to school on Monday, August 30th. We had a full day of professional development plans that day. We started, and thank you very much to the King Philip Regional Middle School. They hosted us so that we could do our opening keynote at the middle school in the auditorium, which was air conditioned, and we could socially distance our staff. So they were great hosts. We had a keynote presenter, Dr. Carol Blake, who spoke on the topic of creating culturally responsive, inclusive school classrooms and communities. Later in that day, the teachers had a presentation that was virtual with Dr. Nicole Christian Bratwaith. She is a child psychiatrist who spoke about the impact of trauma on students and how to create trauma-sensitive schools and welcome students back post-COVID. The afternoon, teachers had a chance to meet with colleagues to share information and to do some planning for the opening day. I think both the presenters did a fantastic job. People reported that the strategies were helpful, and I think we were really well prepared for opening. Students came for the first day of school on Tuesday, August 31st, and students in grade 1 through 6. As always, the first week of school, we have all of our staff reporting to duty outside, so there's many, many adults to help any students. And you know, students will say, I don't know who my teacher is, or I can't remember it, and so we have lots of people outside to make sure students get in without undue concern. People walk them to class, make sure they get settled. That went very smoothly. Our new kindergarten students started on Tuesday. We have a different process for kindergarten. So the first day on Tuesday, they came with parents for a meet and greet, had a tour of the school, had a chance to see where they were going to be going. And then we have a staggered start. So half of our kindergartens had their first school day on Wednesday. The smaller numbers give teachers a lot more time for one-on-one and to help children support and adjust. The other half came on Thursday, and then all of our kids in kindergarten came back together for the first day of school as a full class on Tuesday, September 7th. Again, getting back to transportation, most of our families this year have elected to access school transportation. So people will probably notice the drop-up and pickup lines are very short and moving very quickly. For those of parents who were driving last year, you know, people were queued up at the end of Rockwood Road. The arrival and dismissal for parent pickup and drop-off has gone very smoothly. Most of our school buses are running on schedule. We do have a few that continue to be arriving at school about between 5 and 10 minutes late and are later in the pickup. We've been monitoring that very closely. As I shared, there is a critical shortage of school bus drivers across the state. The two that we have had that have been running the latest are Bus 6 and Bus 10. It's gotten a little bit better, arriving around 9:01, so about 5 minutes after the start. What we're working with homes on is that several of our drivers drive two routes or drive for two districts. Some of those buses drive a route for Franklin prior to picking up our students. During the first week of school, as drivers are learning their routes, and the other schools are not as efficient in the first week in arrival and dismissal, things are running a little bit behind. We were hoping that that would correct within the first week as the routines became more efficient, drivers knew the route, kids knew their stops. Our principals and assistants have been logging arrival and dismissal times, and we have talked with Holmes, and if that is not corrected by the end of this week, they are looking to hire another driver and probably separate routes or make adjustments to routes. But the times have been getting closer to on track. We're monitoring that, and if we do have to make changes, we will to those routes. Staffing update I already provided. Most of our positions are now full. We were worried about food service. We have a new food service director, a new food service program. That is a department that we always have high turnover in. There's only a few hours a day. They're staggered. But we have, I think as of today, are fully staffed there. We are looking for some support for our SAC before and after school. Again, those are really difficult positions to fill because they're 2 hours in the morning and then hours in the evening with a big gap midday. So we are continuing to fill a couple of SAC positions and then building substitutes for H all day in the special education department. All of our professional teaching positions, with the exception of the tech integration position at Freeman, are filled at this time. Happy to take any questions people might have on the opening of schools. Or some of them might have been addressed during bus conversations earlier.
My children are very happy, so thank you.
It's great to see the kids back, and I think a lot of kids are
This is good.
adjusting to having a full class, but certainly seeming to enjoy that. So it's been positive. The last thing I have for tonight is, gosh, I can't even remember. I guess it was the August meeting that I presented the school reopening plan and reviewed our safety procedures. The CDC in June, late June, recommended some revisions to their cleaning protocols for maintaining health and safe communities. We delayed implementing any changes to our protocols because we wanted to see how the return to school went and what cases looked like across the state. But at this time, we would recommend that we transition some of our protocols to align with the new guidance. Basically, the only change that we are looking to make right now, every night we are spraying electrostatic spraying disinfectant in all areas of the school building, classrooms, all the common areas, everywhere in the building, and we're doing that nightly. And then the following morning, the custodial staff is wiping down desks with food-safe products to clean off any residue. The CDC is saying that if you have no known or suspected cases in a specific area, that nightly cleaning and disinfecting is sufficient. We do not need to spray in those classrooms. What we're going to recommend is using cleaning and disinfecting products in the classrooms, wiping down desks once, cleaning and sanitizing sinks, faucets, any kind of common areas, and continuing to do the electrostatic spraying in high traffic areas. And that's what CDC recommends. So high traffic areas would be cafeterias, gymnasiums, stairways, hallway entrances, the library, the music room, and the band room.
Bathrooms?
Bathrooms, yep, all high traffic areas. The one exception to that would be if we had an identified case and the person that was positive was in the building within 48 hours, all areas that were affected, we would revert to the electrostatic spraying. What we're trying to balance is keeping the environment healthy, not using more chemicals than are needed to effectively clean and sanitize. So that's the only change really in there. I attached the revised CDC guidance so you could see it, fully aligned. I've had our nurses review this, and I did speak with the public health nurses who felt that as long as we were aligning with CDC, that they were comfortable with those protocols. So I would just need a vote from the school committee to modify that section of our plan and replace it with the updated protocols proposed tonight.
So do we have a motion to update and modify the cleaning protocols as described?
I move to update and modify the cleaning protocols as described.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That's all I have tonight.
Does that need to have a little vote thing next to it on the agenda? It
It
doesn't.
wasn't one listed.
Oh, it wasn't listed as a vote. Yeah, I
Should we
apologize
revote
for that. You know, we can revote it in October.
Yeah, we might wanna
I
do
do
that.
think that we are aligning with state guidance and CDC guidance.
Oh, I don't think it
So I'd
matters.
recommend we move forward with the change in protocols, and then the committee can officially adopt that. And I can put this in as pending in our plan.
That's fine. We'll revisit the motion, but yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
Teachers will be very happy that's not happening every night. I know in my classroom, paper was growing.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh.
We want to make sure that we're keeping it as healthy and safe for everybody as possible, but we want to balance that again with not over cleaning and sanitizing where you don't need to.
All right. Moving on to committee reports. King Philip.
Nothing new to report.
Very succinct report. Good job. I don't think we can get a shorter report. No pressure on policy, but top that one.
Oh dear, okay. I left my policy. So we reviewed 2 policies, and the first one that we reviewed, thank you, Shannon, was the face covering, and we're just going to amend it so it's more in line with the state mask mandate, which our previous policy said for face coverings that adults needed to be masked outside, and now we're saying that was our previous policy right now, well, current. And what we're saying right now is let's make it more aligned with the current state policy that if you don't have to wear a mask outside, regardless of whether you're an adult or a child.
Got it.
So back in May, the Department of Ed's guidance was to continue to require adults to mask outside if they couldn't maintain 6 feet of distancing. So we would just be lifting that, and the policy would read that no masks are required during snack, mask breaks, lunch, or while outside.
Outside.
That's what, first reading? Is that what that one is?
I think that'll be an incidental change
Yeah,
that we bring forward
okay.
next month and just do a single vote.
And the second policy we looked at was bullying prevention, and we just revised this last school year. So we are not recommending any changes at this time.
And we'll put that in the packet. By statute, we have to, as a committee, annually review our bullying policy and determine if any changes need to be made. We'll bring that forward, but the policy subcommittee is not making any recommended changes at this time.
Okay. That's it for policy? Very good, thank you. All right, moving on to approve our meeting minutes from our August 25th meeting.
I move, here, it's my hearing. I move to approve the Norfolk School Committee minutes from August 25th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Oh,
Should Vicky be down under the also present? I think that's where she usually is.
I was thinking that too.
Yes.
She's listed under roll call.
Thank
As
you.
a
Yes,
member.
she should be.
Sorry, not to boot you out.
No, I noticed that too. I was kind of like, oh, but I don't want to.
nice catch, Sarah.
Yeah, good catch.
That's it.
Okay, so that's it. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we are next up for August 19th. October 19th, also pronounced that way. It's October 19th.
Classic.
Yes, in the classic Roman
Back in
sense.
time.
Typically, we meet the second Tuesday of the month, which would be the 12th. I have a conflict that night, so I would propose, if possible, if we could meet the following Tuesday, which would be the 3rd Tuesday in October. The Monday is a holiday.
Pardon me?
Fine.
Is that okay for everybody?
It's fine. That
I
Tuesday
might
is the
not
day
be
off
there.
from school, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a non-school day. That Tuesday
Yeah,
is the
no
PD day.
meetings on those days.
That's verboten.
Oh, Victoria, wrong month.
So is that good for everybody, or?
I might not be here on the 19th,
All right, you let us know.
but
We'll miss you.
I may have
I have to
open
figure
house
out
that
when
night.
my tickets are for a show because they rescheduled it from a year and a half ago. But I might be able to make it.
All right, so we've got me down as a yes, Medora's a yes, Shannon's a
Maybe.
yes.
got
Jen's,
3.
we're going to give Jen a 60%, and Sarah will go 50%? Okay, so we got 3, we got a quorum, we're
We
good.
can guilt Jen into showing.
That's all right, let's make her.
They will know if I skip open house.
We will badger you.
Yeah, imagine they wouldn't notice that. All right, so then finally, we need a,
I'm sorry, would you prefer to do a different day that week? Jessica
let me check.
Couple
I'm
is
sure
coming
it's
to
fine. I
present
just-
her findings to the committee, so. I just can't do the week of the 12th, but I could do any day the next week.
well, I don't think we have a lot going.
Oh, it's October
Jessica's going to
7th, so
come
I'm
present
fine.
her findings from the
She's
equity.
fine.
I'm fine.
You're good?
Yes.
That she did.
And then you're,
Jen's fine. We're good.
Fine.
Okay, all right,
okay,
then
so
we're
at
all
least
set.
4, and then possibly Sarah, okay.
All right,
We're
perfect.
fine, leave it at 19th. So 19th it is, and then finally, we just need a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, no further discussions allowed. All those in favor? Aye.
You are not allowed to anymore.
We are adjourned, thank you.